If paying off debt or building your safety net is your New Year's goal, starting a furniture flipping business is one of the best ways to do it. This is Sage and Cedar, and I've been refinishing furniture for 3 years. I've seen the highs and the lows, and now I can give you all of my best tips. So if I was starting a furniture flipping business right now, this is exactly what I would do. Step 1, start small and start right now. Start today. You don't need a truck, you don't need perfectionism, and you certainly don't need to know everything. All you need is just one sale to start your confidence. And as Teddy Roosevelt once said, do what you can with what you have right where you are. So my advice is just get out there, find a piece for less than $50 and see what happens. Don't make any big commitments, don't set expectations, just get out the door to pick up a piece and see what happens, because it may just surprise you. And I promise you, you're capable of learning anything. You just have to start. My first piece I bought on a whim for $10. I went to the store, got a roller and a bucket of paint, and sold it within a week for $115. And let me tell you, I thought I struck gold. I was addicted and already searching for piece number 2. Part number 2, what to flip and what to avoid. If I was an absolute beginner, I would only look for matching nightstands. 1, because they're going to fit in your car. You don't need a truck, you don't need an SUV. Nightstands will fit in most vehicles. Secondly, they're really small, so they're easy to move by yourself. You don't need to have your creepy uncle come with you to help pick them up. You can move them all on your own, you can transport them all on your own, and they're so much easier to paint because they're just smaller. So you use less materials, easy to transport, and could be a little bit cheaper. So start with nightstands. But now, if you're looking to up it up a little bit and make a little bit more money, go for the longer, lower dressers, about 60 inches long, 32 inches tall. Anything in that shape, you're gonna make really good profit on. And don't worry too much between solid wood or particle board pieces. Again, just get the ball rolling and you'll see what works best for you. And now on to the things to avoid, which I've bought in a few of these and they just don't sell for much. First of all, chest of drawers. You would think they would sell for a lot, but they just don't. Even now, I struggle to sell them for more than $200 or $300, so just not worth it. Secondly, end tables. End tables are great, but they just don't sell for a whole lot and can be a little bit outdated, so I would skip on those too. Desks, kitchen tables, again, very versatile, but they don't make a profit, and they're really big and can take a lot of time to refinish, so I would skip those as well. Also, if you're starting out, I would avoid buying pieces that are really damaged. So if the drawers don't work well, that's going to be a problem. If there's bubbling veneer, that might require some skill. So on your first few pieces, just find something that's basic, easy, and inexpensive. So in summary, your first flip should fit in your car, not require more than primer, paint, and maybe some new knots to refinish. Part number 3, keep your supplies to a minimum. And for this one, we're going to get in the car and head to the local hardware store.
It doesn't matter much which store you go to, just one with a variety of options. Our closest is Home Depot, so let's hit the aisles and see what we can find. Our first and most exciting stop is the paint aisle. I always grab this cabinet and trim paint in satin, and the only trick to know here is if you need the white base or the dark base. And that should be pretty simple to figure out. If you're going to go with dark paint, pick the dark base. And if you're going to go with light, use the white base. The only difference here is there's less material in the dark base container. And no, that's not to rip you off. It's actually done on purpose, so there's ample room for all that extra pigment needed to turn it into a dark paint. If you aren't sure which to get, you can always ask an employee at the paint desk because they are really knowledgeable. Moving one aisle over, I recommend pairing your paint with a primer, and to keep it easy, buy your primer in an aerosol can. This is going to eliminate the need to wash out your paintbrush, roller, and tray. It does cost a little bit more, but for just starting out, I think this is an easier option that's going to save you some time and headache. On to the last paint aisle. Again, let's keep it cheap and easy. You don't need a sprayer. Just grab yourself one of these 6-inch wide, 3/8 inch nap rollers and one of the cheap paint trays. I like these plastic ones because they're so inexpensive yet sturdy and will definitely hold up. Then next to the rollers, you'll want to grab a brush. I like these angled ones because they get really well into the corners. And these 3 items alone will be enough to cover any job that you pick up. You can certainly make this cheaper by hand sanding, but I'll do you one better and show you where to find this orbital sander because it will save you so much time and allow you to sand down to that beautiful exposed wood grain. And here's some girl math for you. You can sell a piece with exposed wood grain for hundreds of dollars more than a solid painted piece, meaning this tool will pay for itself in just one sale. Then grab some sandpaper for your sander. I'd recommend anywhere between $150 to $180 for scuff sanding, and then $80 to $100 if you're going to strip it all the way down to raw wood. In the off case you don't have a screwdriver, I'd recommend picking up one that has many different bit sizes just to make sure you're covered.
Part 4, finding cheap quality pieces. Okay, so we know what types of pieces, what supplies we need, but how do we really go out and find these hidden gems? Facebook Marketplace is full of all sorts of mysteries, which you can capitalize on if you're smart. So here's what I look for to find the best quality pieces at the lowest price. Firstly, bad photos are actually a good thing. Most people will skip looking at something if the photos are blurry, but you're a smart queen and this is where you find opportunity. Look at the posts that are blurry and you might be surprised what's hiding in there. Next is ugly hardware or wild painted colors. They're actually a good sign. It's hard to sell something that's bright pink, so you know you're going to be able to get a good deal on that. And lucky for you, you now know how to repaint it or stain it in a much more desirable color. Move quickly if you want to secure the deal. Be prepared to pick up something that same day and bring cash. People who are selling cheap furniture most likely just want to get it gone and they're not going to hold it for you. And for the biggest deals, it'll probably have some sort of damage. Most of the pieces I have some level of broken drawer slides, so be patient and have the mindset going in that you're going to learn something new and it's going to take time to build up your knowledge of repairs. You'll likely need to make small drawer repairs, deal with bubbling veneer, and maybe make some cosmetic changes like trimming the bottom skirt or removing decals on the front drawers. But lucky you, now you follow me and I can walk you through all of that. My personal purchasing range is about $50, and with that I'm able to find mostly all solid wood pieces. But I do expect that every single piece I will get will have some level of repairs that need done. So if you're looking for a repair-free job, you might need to bump it up to $100. Part 5 is pricing. To get started, your goal is fast profit, not max profit. So what that means is don't sit on something for 3 months waiting to sell. And keeping lower prices is actually really helpful for a few reasons. You're going to want to build up your confidence by moving product quickly. You're also going to need a lot of cash flow, so again, selling things quickly so you can buy more pieces and more supplies. And lastly, you probably don't have a large storage area that you can just keep things for months on end until they sell. So price your inventory to move it quickly. Momentum is way more important than perfection at this point. And lastly is part number 6, timing. Another key aspect with knowing how to price things is the timing. You can be doing all of the right things, but they're just not selling. And that's actually because furniture sales is really based on the season. And this is something that took me a few cycles to really figure out. I'd be spending so much time refinishing, but things would just sit for weeks and weeks and they'd finally sell at huge discounts. For the biggest sales and when to start marking up your pieces, focus on January and then the summertime. People are decluttering their homes, looking for a fresh start in January, so that's when you really want to have your max profit, your most inventory, and your most availability for new projects. The summertime is a similar time period where people are out of school, they're usually moving, or people are just moving into school around August, September. That's when a lot of the work happens. The 2 big seasons that I avoid putting a lot of my time and energy into is right after back to school and between Thanksgiving and the New Year's. When people are right back to school, they're focused on their new routines. They're not trying to change up everything. They're just trying to adapt to their new lifestyle. And then again, between Thanksgiving and New Year's, there's already so many other obligations going on that redecorating the house is honestly the last thing on people's list. So if you want the biggest profits, sell between January and September. In summary, work smarter, not harder. Don't spend so much time refinishing during the off season. The goal of this video is to help you feel empowered and start something new. And to start something new, all you need is one piece. And remember, you are capable and you can grow. So whether this is just a fun hobby, you're looking to build up a down payment, or you're trying to get out of debt, I hope this inspired you to pick up the paintbrush.